How we doing? How we doing, everyone? It is a lovely Monday afternoon. Producer Steve back at you once again, doing a solo episode. Jovan could not make it today. He is celebrating a birthday. His kid is turning a certain age, and they're having a wonderful Spider-Man themed party. So you're stuck with me for the week. We're gonna go over just a few things. Ended up with some calls, maybe some debates. I mean, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I guess we'll just get right into it. So this is the weekly dump. This is your number one source for number two news. First story up today. This is something I was really blown away by. So Trump just welcomed a former Al Qaeda commander into the White House. Yeah, it's not opposite day, although it does feel like it. On Monday, November 10th, Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara just had a meeting with Trump in the Oval Office. MAGA's acting like this is just completely normal, right? And not just MAGA either. Mainstream media is also acting like this is normal too, which is pretty insane. If we go back, I mean, listen, I was in ninth grade when 9/11 happened, okay? So I was definitely old enough to remember. And if I went and told myself that, hey, this is what's going to happen in 2025. Yeah, I don't know what I would do. But yeah, I mean, look, so I guess take that story, apply it to yourself. Like imagine you being able to travel back in time to the night democracy died, November 2024. The night Mike Tyson fought Jake Paul. Right. Tell yourself that in less than a year's time, Al Qaeda is in the White House and the East Wing is gone, which, to be fair, is only technically true. Right. But you would be crawling to get to one of those billionaire bunkers. Ahmad al-Shara is he's the first Syrian leader to ever visit the White House in the country's entire history. Short history, I think like 50 years or something like that. And the whole thing makes complete sense when you actually look at who this guy is and what's been happening in Syria. But before we get into all of that, let me just address the rhetorical hypocrisy that we've been force-fed for decades, okay? So do you guys remember 2016? Trump was like, 2016 Trump, like, this was his thing. Nobody is tougher on terror than me, nobody. The Democrats, they're weak. They're so weak on terror. It's unbelievable. Look what's happening. I walked into this room. I said, wow, what a total disaster. Look at what the Democrats did. This is a disaster, total disaster. Believe me. Yeah, remember that, guys? Like, I do. Okay, but just in case you don't remember, I pulled some clips and put it in a video. Let's take a look.
Radical Islam. Radical Islam. Radical Islamic preachers. Radical Islamic terrorism. Instead of radical Islam.
Radical Islamic terrorism.
Radical Islam. Radical Islam. Radical Islam.
Radical Islamic terrorism.
Radical Islamic terrorism. Radical Islamic terrorism. Radical Islamic terrorism.
Yeah, that was the brand, right? That was the whole thing. Radical Islamic terrorism. He said it over and over again, 164 times in the 12 months before the 2016 election. The media did count. I verified it as well. It's insane. It was radical Islamic terrorism, travel bans, Muslim bans, until he figures out what's going on. And I still don't think he ever figured out what was going on. So 2024 Trump, on the other hand, completely abandoned that rhetoric. He mentioned radical Islamic terrorism maybe a handful of times, fewer than 20 in the entire campaign. And this was confirmed by CNN, The Hill, Rolling Stone, NPR. They all reported on this. Basically, what Trump was trying to do was exploit the Palestinian genocide to court Muslim voters, mainly in Dearborn, but nationwide as well. So he partnered with like far right-wing imams, did a little tour, and all of a sudden the whole radical Islamic terrorism thing stopped. So now 2025 Trump invites Ahmad al-Shara into the White House. And until literally the Friday before this meeting, like the Friday before this meeting, Ahmad was officially designated as a terrorist by the U.S. government. He'd been on that list since 2013. The United States had a $10 million bounty on his head. And look, I get it. Like, foreign policy is really complicated. Sometimes you have to work with people that you're just not super thrilled about. Sometimes resistance forces are called terrorists. Like that's all real. Okay, that's all very real. But we've been reminded by patriots every single day on this planet, in this country, never forget. Well, it seems like everyone forgot. At least MAGA forgot. Temporarily, right? I mean, until it serves their interests, and then they'll remember again, and then let us know that we should remember too. Because it's fake. I mean, let's be honest. It's been fake from the beginning. Some of us knew it was fake from the beginning. It took other people a little bit longer. Some people, still believe in the Kabuki theater, but it's fake, right? The tough on terrorism brand, fake. Muslim ban, that was just red meat for the base. I mean, there was nothing substantive behind it, right? It was just, what can I do to get racists to vote for me? I mean, that was the logic. None of it was actually ever about national security. It was just about what plays politically at any given moment. This is really just surface level stuff, though, guys. Like, oh my God, he was Al Qaeda. Now he's in the White House. Like, yeah, I mean, it's funny and we can have a little laugh about it. But it really is surface level, right? Because nobody is talking about what's actually happening in Syria. And that's what we're going to cover today. So Ahmad al-Shara isn't just some reformed extremist from the 1990s. In 2012, he created the Nusra Front with direct support from Al Qaeda to fight Assad in Syria. He was the leader. General Emir is the title, and he was an Al Qaeda affiliate. He was embedded within the Al Qaeda network pretty extensively. So March 2025, so that's this year, not too long ago, guys. Pro-Assad forces attack al-Shara's guys, okay? They killed about 200 combatants, okay? So this is army versus army, right? These guys know what they're getting into. They're not just chilling on the couch and then, oh my God, all of a sudden. No, like this is combat, okay? But instead of responding to the pro-Assad forces, al-Shara decided to massacre Alawite civilians. Now, quick context, okay, because I didn't know a lot about this either until I started looking into it. The Alawites are 10% of Syria. They're a religious minority. They're Shia, whereas the vast majority of Syria is Sunni. The Assad family is Alawite, and Alawites have controlled the government for 50 years. Now, you might be asking yourself, producer Steve, how does a religious minority come into power? And if you guess colonialism, you're 100% right. So the French colonial control post-World War used the divide and conquer strategy in Syria. So they were socially elevating the Alawites, which were previously an oppressed religious minority at the time. And so by elevating their social status, giving them more power in the military and government, they maintain control, right? The French maintain control because if you're an oppressed minority and Big Bad France comes in and says, hey, we're going to end your oppression, you just have to oppress other people, it's very tempting to go, yeah, I guess so. I mean, what's the alternative, right? So between March 6th and 12th of this year, approximately 1,500 Alawites were murdered. And we're talking civilians, okay? Al-Shara's minions went door to door asking, are you Alawite or are you Sunni? If you gave the wrong answer, that's it. You were gone. Okay, entire families, women, children, everybody just gone. They also filmed it and posted it on social media. One guy walked through the house singing ethnic cleansing to 28,000 Facebook followers. Now, I had a video queued up for it. Unfortunately, I did not get that video in time. Maybe next show, I'll just, as an oopsie, I'll just show it to you guys so that you can see it. But it really wasn't that hard to find. Just search ethnic cleansing guy, Syria, 28,000 Facebook followers. You'll find it. It's there. CNN actually did the report on it, and there are much more brutal videos that were kind of compiled into that CNN one. So be careful if you're squeamish. Don't watch it. But anyway, so Amnesty International investigated all of this. The UN investigated all of this as well. Both called it what it is: ethnic cleansing, right? War crimes. The targeting of a religious minority. All documented, all investigated by international organizations, all confirmed. All 1,500 people confirmed. Al-Shaara's response? Really nothing, right? No prosecutions, no justice. I mean, he did come out and say, oh, I'm going to do everything I can. We're going to investigate this thoroughly. And it's just one of those situations where, like, it's like when the cops tell you, oh, yeah, we're going to do an internal investigation, get down to it. And you're like, yeah, no, you're not. You're going to sweep it under the rug, which is exactly what he did. It's been swept under the rug, right? So just last week, Trump lifts al-Shaara's terrorist designation. So after all of this ethnic cleansing that's happening in Syria under his watch and leadership, that's when Trump looks at it and goes, yeah, oh, this is my guy, right? And so lifts that terrorist designation, removes sanctions on Syria as well, rolls out the red carpet at the White House, hosts him like he's a super important ally. No one's talking about the massacres, though, right? No one's bringing up the 1,500 dead Alawites. Nobody is mentioning the ethnic cleansing videos. No one's saying, hey, wait, this guy's government just committed what looks like some war crimes a few months ago. Maybe we should talk about that. No, it's buried. It's forgotten, like completely forgotten, right? And this is a perfect example of how hollow all that rhetoric is about terrorism and human rights. And it's all theater, it's all whatever serves the geopolitical interests at any given moment. I'm gonna throw it all to the sound booth. What do you guys think? We had a camera hooked up in the sound booth. Let's see if we can get it up. Hey, there they are. I don't know. You guys.
I'm pretty sure they can hear us now when I turn on the microphone for the sound booth.
Yeah.
So we were busy doing all the technical stuff. What the hell is going on now?
Oh yeah, no, we were talking about what was going on in Syria. And the Syrian president coming to visit Donald Trump, getting his terrorist designation removed.
Jesus Christ.
Basically after ethnic cleansing that he oversaw in his country. And I want to know what you guys think of that.
How the hell does that work? Like you just like magically one day, like, the guy who orchestrated 9/11 is like just cool?
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
I guess
not
it depends on how
quite,
much money he's got, right?
Yeah, hey, you give us another couple planes and we'll be cool with that, right?
Sure. How can I deck out the White House in gold? And then you're not from Home Depot, but how can I deck out the White House in gold and you're going to be fine?
No, definitely not a Home Depot gold tower, right? There is no opinion that I can give on that, Mr. Producer Steve, because it is absolute bullshit. I mean, like,
yeah.
Like, let's sell our country out to the lowest goddamn bidder.
Yeah,
it's just like that's exactly what it is. It's selling out to like the highest, lowest, or whatever bidder. Actually pumps up Trump's ego and says like, hey, like I want to like worship you in a way that befits my culture and everything, but still like I'm going to give you hamburgers and stuff. So it just doesn't make any sense. Like, we don't live in a practical world anymore. We don't live in a logical, rational world anymore. It feels like it's eroded and it's gone.
No, you're right. Like the rules are not existent. I don't know, man. I don't know that we have a good opinion for you other than this is bullshit and we're living in the Black Mirror.
And I think it sucks. That's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Up next, we're going to be talking about Minnesota and Seattle mayor. So a little bit of bad news, a little bit of good news. And I think I want to end on the good news. So let's start with the neoliberal ghoul, landlord lover, bootlicker, and corporate puppet Jacob Frey, who beat out Democratic Socialist Omar Fattah, 50 to 44%. And we are absolutely disappointed in you, Minneapolis. This is a big shame. Big shame on you. There were 3 fantastic candidates on a ranked choice ballot, and y'all chose the scrub. Unacceptable, frankly. But let's see who convinced Minneapolis to elect this useless wet noodle. So this was mostly spearheaded by All of Minneapolis PAC. This is a corporate PAC, which is mainly funded by the developers in the Minneapolis regional area. The Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce was involved. And Lyft too, fucking Lyft. They spent close to about a third of $1 million on this pack. There was also another pack that raised $125,000, a landlord pack, landlord backpack called "We Love to Rent Hike Minneapolis." Yeah, and so those are the donors, right? That's who you voted for. You voted for landlords. You voted for corporations. Frey and the corporate pimps outspent Fateh more than 2 to 1. Rest of the donor list kind of reads like a who's who of working class enemies. $60,000 from Chamber of Commerce, $65,000 from real estate developers like Doran Family Holdings and Bader Property Management. Oh, and 24 McDonald's franchise owners donated over $25,000, with 15 of them giving the maximum $1,000 to Frey personally. This is what selling out looks like. If you didn't know, this is exactly what it looks like. And the capitalist class saw that democratic socialists were threatening their profit margins with rent control and $20 minimum wage, so they opened their wallets and crushed them. Let's talk about who did that crushing. Okay, that was Richard Forschler, a corporate lobbyist for the donors. I mean, this is like the core of all of Minneapolis PAC, right? Like, he's not the only guy involved. I don't even necessarily think he's like the main guy involved. But I mean, he is essentially I guess like the ringleader of the operation. Like, he knows everybody, right? So even if he's not providing all the money, he's the one who's providing all the connections, right? He knows everyone. So much so that he and Jacob Frey work together at Faegre, Biddle, and Reith, that consulting firm. Some of their other colleagues from that same firm also received positions in government during Frey's first term, specifically positions like Director of Policy at City Hall. So, rather, like, we skipped the middleman, right? Like, we just went and straight up put a lobbyist in charge of policy at City Hall. Insane, right? So it's just a bunch of rich friends that are in charge of Minneapolis, right? Like, it's a bunch of rich guys and their buddies, and it's like, what do you think they're gonna do, right? They're gonna serve their own interests, right? And they're not gonna have much pushback against the things that they want to do, because all the people in power are their buddies. Right, so when they get together, do you really think that they discuss better wages, affordable rents, police accountability? No, of course not. Right? Speaking of police accountability, just in case y'all forgot, Minneapolis was the police department that murdered George Floyd. Okay, I believe that was 2020, summer 2020. After the George Floyd murder, okay, Bob Kroll, he was the police federation head, right, which is like the union. He was basically parroting the boilerplate MAGA talking points, right? Floyd was a criminal. He was a drug user. It was really heroin. It wasn't the knee on his neck for 8 fucking minutes. So, pretty bad guy. We get that. What'd Jacob Frey do? Well, he came out with a statement, and I mean, it's not a bad statement. Let me read it for you, okay? So Frey says, quote, "The rhetoric that Bob Kroll has put out is detrimental, not just to our city, but also the public." Let me start over. "The rhetoric that Bob Kroll has put out is detrimental, not just to our city, but also to the police department. For someone that complains so much about the lack of support and trust in police officers, he's the primary reason for that lack of trust and support." So, I mean, it sounds like Jacob Frey stood up to the police federation, right? Wrong. So wrong. Because when police contracts came up for negotiations, Jacob Frey locked out the public, citing confidentiality requirements. So how is that lack of trust and support going when the public is locked out due to confidentiality requirements? And when it was all said and done, the new contracts gave police a 21% pay increase and failed to achieve any meaningful reforms. So Frey represents the most insidious form of capital's political power. He's smooth-talking, neoliberal, corporate-owned Democrat who speaks the language of reform and progress while serving real estate developers and police gangs. And look, I'm not saying electoralism doesn't work, right? I mean, just because a neoliberal ghoul is able to con a city into voting for him, I don't think that means we should give up. I mean, that's going to be evident in our next story. It was definitely evident with Zohran Mamdani. So don't. I'm just saying, it's not. Don't give up yet on electoralism, okay? But the workers of Minneapolis deserve better. We know that. They deserve affordable housing, a living wage, actual police accountability. But for now, they have another 4 years of this neoliberal corporate prostitute pragmatically managing their oppression. That's what it comes down to. Can we get the call-in number up on the screen, please? So we are going to do calls after the show. Call-in number should be up fairly soon on the screen. There it is, and it says call in next week. No, it should be the phone number. So they're going to work on it. I'm going to move on. So on our positive note, and you know, we don't get too many of those, but we have one here. So it is official. After weeks of counting votes, Katie Wilson was declared the winner of Seattle's mayoral race. Washington uses a mail-in ballot system and accepts mail-in ballots as long as they were postmarked by Election Day. So it does take a little while to count, all right? Another reason why it took so long is that it was an incredibly close election. Final vote total was 138,489 to 136,513. You know, typically in a race that's not as close, within a few days, you should have some statistical models that will tell you, oh, this person won, even though all the votes weren't counted yet. But in this case, that it was so close, that's why we had to wait until really the last ballots were counted, just to be 100% sure. I want to throw it to the sound booth. Are you guys excited about this? I mean, it was like a 2-week wait. It took a while.
Yeah, I don't know, man. By the way, they don't have video for us right now. Where our video went down. We're trying to fix it, but I don't know. I don't know about that, man.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So big shout out though to the Seattle activist groups that made this possible. They're really the MVPs of this race, right? Without them, I don't know if Katie Wilson would have won. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I like her. She's got great policies. Nothing wrong with her. I think it's just, you know, it would have been like Minneapolis, I think, right? Like it really, I really do think that if Minneapolis had the same activists that Seattle had, we would be having a very different discussion about Minneapolis this week. So with that said, I want to just highlight them real quick for you. So we have Protect 17, Transit Riders Union, Stay Housed and Stay Healthy Coalition, and Progressive Victory. These are the organizations that went door to door. They got on the phone. They phone banked. They got people registered to vote. They went out and talked to people and explained, you know, what the issues were that they were wanting to tackle, right? And much like the rest of the country, and especially like New York City, housing affordability, right? And that's Katie Wilson's bread and butter. So while it took a lot of work and a lot of volunteers to get out there and get the word out, the word kind of spoke for itself. But without the volunteers spreading the word, I just don't think we would have had this. If you are interested, Vosh did a sit-down interview with Progressive Victory. It was like 5 or 6 different activists. He sat down, did an interview. We'll put a link in the description after the show if you guys want to check it out. If you're new to organizing, I would suggest watching the video, even if you don't like Vosh, just because they kind of go over the basics, right? Like the questions that they're asked are very elementary level. They don't get anything too complicated. So if you are curious about like how to organize, where to organize, what tactics to use, that's a pretty good introductory video to get into. And these activists here, they're volunteers, right? They weren't motivated by money, no quid pro quo deals with Katie Wilson. They were just motivated by the housing crisis facing Seattle and the just complete ineptitude of the incumbent mayor, Bruce Harrell. So let me tell you a little bit about Bruce. Under Bruce Harrell, Seattle lost 128 shelter beds. That was between 2022 and 2024. Now, that doesn't sound that bad. You're like, oh, that 2 years, that's like, what, 75 or so beds per year lost? Like, that's not, it could be, I mean, it could be worse. Until you find out that in 2021, he promised to build 2,000 units. So not only did he not build a single unit, he lost 128. This is what I'm talking about when I say incompetence, okay? He also tried to kill social housing, got a nearly $100 million in affordable housing funding. He also proposed to redirect jumpstart funds to balance the city budget instead of affordable housing projects. So jumpstart was or I guess it still is in effect. It is a tax on large corporations meant specifically to provide affordable housing. And this guy, in an affordability crisis, wanted to take those funds and balance the budget that he ran a deficit on. It just you can't make this shit up, okay? So instead of spending the money to get people inside housing, right? So he eliminated beds, he tried to defer the budget, and instead of actually spending money to get people inside, he spent money to make life harder, right? More precarious, more dangerous for thousands of suffering, for thousands that were suffering on the Seattle streets. Harold oversaw unprecedented scaling of homeless encampment removals. These are known as sweeps. It's essentially when police and other public servants, I guess, they come in, they tell homeless folks to leave, and then they take their only shelters and they just like rip it up and throw it away, right? So it's like those people are getting paid, right? So instead of paying money to house people, he's paying other people to destroy the little housing that these folks have. And we're supposed to get behind that. Like it's like that's normal. Like that should be like like that. I'm sorry. It sounds like something a Republican would do. I just don't get it, you guys. I really don't. It makes no sense how some Democrats can look at this shit and go, oh yeah, no, that represents my values. Like, what fucking values? Like, what value is that? Anyway, it really shouldn't be a complete shocker, though, that housing affordability was the core of Katie Wilson's campaign. Basically, these were the things that she was going for. These were the things that all the volunteers and the activists were talking about. Let's go ahead and get that on the screen. Publicly owned, permanently affordable housing. That's Maine, right? That's number one. A ban on rental junk fees. Okay, I mean, now we're getting there. She also wanted to get rid of algorithmic price fixing. Thank God, right? I mean, the last thing we need is more fucking algorithms in our lives, controlling everything that we do and what we buy, what we watch, and what we listen to, and what we read. It's good. And then the last thing that was kind of pretty core to her campaign was capping rent increases. Okay. She is a social democrat. All right. She wants the wealthy to pay more in taxes so the city can actually fund services. She's pro-transit, pro-labor, pro-renter. She wants alternative crisis response, right? Instead of sending in militarized police for every single mental health crisis. All right. It's really the first time in years that Seattle's elected a truly progressive mayor, and it happened because of the organizers that did all the groundwork. So we want to congratulate Katie Wilson. We want to congratulate all of the volunteers, all the organizers. Seattle just got its first millennial mayor, and she's on our side. We'd love to see it. We're going to keep a close eye on I guess her mayoralship, and we'll report back to you with facts and data to back everything up. Maybe in a year's time or something, just kind of see how everything's going. Now, before we head to break, I want to just really quick, now that the call-in number's on the screen, you can call in 914-268-6224. Again, that number is 914-268-6224. You can call to ask questions. You can call to just say hi. You can call in to debate. Now, while I don't have, I guess the same repertoire as Jovan, I can definitely hold my own with atheist stuff. That's pretty. I can do that. Some other topics too, but there might be a topic you call in on that I may not be as knowledgeable on, and sorry, it just happens. So before we head into that break, though, I do want to introduce a new segment, brand new segment called the Wall of Shame. If anyone would like to submit a logo for this section, please hit us up. This is just a placeholder. Just found something online, but I would like to get one of you if you have any ideas for the Wall of Shame. So get in our Discord, hit us up, and submit a logo for the segment. I'll give you guys a few weeks, and then we'll announce a winner. Maybe there'll be a prize involved too. I don't know. We'll look into it. What? Super chat. Oh, we do super chat. Nice. Okay.
NYE 1-2 says thanks for the show, fellas.
Oh well, thank you, NYE. We appreciate you. As we were formatting the show, I'm sorry. Listen, Mondays are hard, right? Because we all have jobs. We all have full-time jobs. And we couldn't get everything on our wish list done today. But I promise, on the next show, this will all be worked out. We'll have the camera and audio working in the sound booth. We'll have the super chat logo, the super chat overlay working again. Something broke on it today. We just couldn't figure it out. So we'll get it working today. We'll get it working soon enough, and we'll have it on the next show. But anyway, back to the Wall of Shame. Okay, so this is, I guess, a segment of the show where we're going to spotlight the people who deserve to be called out, right? Not for, honest mistakes or differences in opinion, but for demonstrable actions and associations that cross a clear moral line. And yeah, so this Wall of Shame is dedicated to the Epstein estate emails. Now, let me tell you guys, I found out the emails were public and fully searchable, filterable, and everything on I think it's called Pinpoint, Google Pinpoint. Anyway, yeah, I think that was Friday night. I spent from, I don't know, maybe 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night till 6 a.m. in the morning, just reading fucking emails. It was like I was on a treasure hunt. What can I find? I guess most people, we all kind of found the same stuff, right? I mean, we all saw the Bubba thing. We all saw the who's who of douchebags, which, again, Wall of Shame. They're going on that wall. One thing though, I haven't seen anyone else talk about, for whatever reason. Actually, a couple of the people on this list, they called Trump MacGyver, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know why they call him MacGyver. And I've seen the show. I've seen MacGyver, and I know that he's like, oh, if I take a squirrel and a bowling ball, I'll make an airplane, and he does, right? And maybe that's what they're referring to, that Trump can just take a bunch of piles of shit and call it food, right? And then MAGA just eats it up. Maybe that's why. I honestly, I don't know. But I found that kind of funny. But if anyone has a theory, if anyone thinks they know why Trump is called MacGyver. And to give you more context, in that conversation, they were talking about how absolutely fucking disgusting he is. Like just physically repulsive, poo-poo diaper stinky pants, like kind of gross shit. So I don't know. But anyway, let's get to the inaugural Wall of Shame. So we're focusing on the individuals who maintain close relationships with Jeffrey Epstein after his 2008 conviction for soliciting prostitution from a minor, not before. Okay, when anyone could claim ignorance, and a lot of people would probably be right. I mean, listen, I got a job working for J.P. Morgan Chase years and years ago. The guy who got me the job, was like he was the husband of a friend of somebody that I knew. So like 4 degrees of separation. I didn't really know the guy, but he was like, "Hey, I'll put in a good word for you on this requisition." So I mean, I got the job. It was fine. I was doing software testing, running, testing stuff in their UAT department. But anyway, not important. What is important though is that even though this guy got me the job, it was like years later. I don't even think I worked at Chase anymore. But I saw his ass on the news. He was texting like a 14-year-old Japanese boy or something. Yeah, I mean, listen, I was never planning on talking to the guy anyway, but definitely wasn't going to talk to him after that. But yeah, I mean, no one knew, right? Like I knew a lot of people that knew this guy, and nobody knew. So, okay, no one before 2008. This is after everyone knew. And also these aren't like casual acquaintances, right? Like this isn't, oh, I just totally met this guy, and I don't want to be super rude, and they had one conversation. Like, no, these are people who, went to parties with him, flew on planes with him, visited his properties, accepted money, continued treating him as a respected member of their social circles, all while he was a registered sex offender. So the first person on our wall of shame, Delegate Stacey Plaskett of the U.S. Virgin Islands. You were texting with Epstein in real time during Michael Cohen's congressional testimony in February of 2019, discussing your questions, your strategy, coordinating your moves. Number 2, Noam Chomsky, the great moral philosopher, the fierce critic of American imperialism and elite corruption. You met with Epstein 2015, 2016, 2017, and you discussed linguistics, politics, world affairs, just like 2 buddies hanging out. And then in July of 2019, just days before his arrest, you were all in to be filmed for his little documentary project. Number 3, Landon Thomas Jr. New York Times financial reporter. You weren't just writing about Epstein. You were consulting with him, laundering a pedophile's image. Tisk, tisk, Landon. Number 4, Lawrence Krauss, renowned physicist. In January 2018, when he was alleged of sexual misconduct, he contacted Jeffrey Epstein, right? So, reporters were contacting him, asking about these students and these postdoctorates and what was going on, and you panicked, didn't you? You did. You panicked, Lawrence Krauss, and who did you call? Jeffrey Epstein, right? That was your crisis management advisor, was Jeffrey frickin' Epstein over sexual assault allegations. Lawrence Krauss, fuck you. Number 5, Michael Wolff. Michael Wolff was a celebrity journalist in January of 2015. You were coordinating Epstein's media strategy, telling him what reporters might find favorable to run stories, and discussing whether Clinton would deny being at the island. Yeah, you were trying to corroborate on whether or not Bill Clinton was going to tell the truth about whether or not he was on the island. And you were also ready to join in that same documentary that Chomsky was going to join into. Number 6, Larry Summers. Larry Summers, former president of Harvard, served both Bill Clinton and Barack Obama's administrations. Oh, yeah. Oh, Democrats are in this too. Don't get it twisted, okay? September 2018, you're forwarding detailed policy analysis to Epstein, treating him like a trusted confidant on electoral reform. Larry, he was in your inner circle, Larry. You shared your work with him, Larry. You valued his opinion, Larry. A convicted sex offender was your sounding board for academic and political matters. How does that happen, Larry? Well, I encourage the audience to use Occam's razor to figure out why. Number 7, Reed Weingarten, high-profile criminal defense attorney who's represented Jared Kushner during the Russia investigation, simultaneously texting with Epstein about Trump and Mueller and Bannon and any general political strategy. Next up, Catherine Rumler. This was Obama's White House counsel. I'm just one more time. Obama's White House counsel. Okay, after you left the White House, you stayed close with Epstein. In August 2016, he's congratulated you on your legal victories. You were attending a UN General Assembly in those meetings and getting picked up by Epstein's driver, meeting with him to discuss these high-level government matters. You were visiting his mansion, attending his gatherings. This wasn't casual, Kathy. This was intimate. You were one of his closest friends, and that was very evident because you had the number 2. You had the number 2 most communications with Epstein that I could find, anyway. And then last but not least, the worst of the worst of the worst, Steve Bannon. Yeah, sorry, we had to censor it for YouTube. It's just too disgusting to show you guys. Like it's just so horrid and decrepit and ugly. We can't show it. They would delete our channel if we did. But yeah, Steve Bannon's all over this shit. And it's really, I mean, honestly, it's one of the grossest conversations that you're ever gonna read. They were really the only ones that were on like a dude bro level. Steve Bannon, Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, arguably they were best friends, right? We have you, Steve Bannon, texting back and forth with Katie, who we just talked about. You called her your girlfriend. I don't know if she knew that. Y'all discussed your Peter Thiel visits. And if anyone's a fan of the channel, you know why that's pretty disturbing. You also strategized together about midterms and political positioning. Days before Epstein's arrest, he texted you. Now you can understand why Trump wakes up in the middle of the night sweating when he hears that you and I are friends. That's how close you were, okay? And we already knew you were a piece of shit, Steve Bannon. You would have made this wall anyway. It wasn't going to take Epstein emails to do that, just by the way.
We've got a super chat
I mean,
from Joshua Everett.
That's it. That's it for the news today. We got another super chat. Oh, awesome.
We got super chat from Joshua Everett thanking us for censoring Steve Bannon because he's eating lunch.
You're welcome,
right
Josh.
now, so.
You are so very welcome. I don't know if y'all could read the little tiny piece at the bottom, but just in case you can't, just in case you're on your phone, it does say little tiny piss gremlin because that's what he is. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and take a break. I'm going to have the sound booth go ahead and throw up our little bathroom break video. I'm going to grab some more water, and then we're going to come back for some calls. All right, we'll see you soon. Well, we are back. Thank you for being so patient. I did take a chance to look at the comments for the stream today, and I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the engagement that you have here with the channel and with us. And I mean, we do this for fun for sure, but like without you guys, it wouldn't be worth it. Because we don't have Jovan's vertical today, we're not getting a lot of calls, which is expected, right? I mean, the opposition typically finds they find the call-in number just by scrolling, right? And they'll hear some leftist talking point like, I don't know, dignity, empathy, and they'll get real mad. They'll get real upset about that. And yeah, I mean, that's how they call in, right? They're not tuning in each week. They're not watching me go over the news. They're getting it from, I don't know, whatever TikTok algorithm is on their phone. So yeah, we did get the camera working back in the sound booth. I think they're figuring out how to layer it. There it is. They got it.
Be here with you. How about that? I think
So-
you can see us now.
Yeah, so because I knew we weren't going to have Jovan's vertical available today to pull in some
right.
MAGA people, I figured just in case no one called in, I'd talk with the guys in the sound booth here, and basically just go over the craziness of the weekend, right? So at the very top of the show, the very, very top of the show, I said that I had the show done early, which is true. And that all the really interesting stuff happened over the weekend, which is also true. So it was, I want to say it was like Friday. Marjorie Taylor Greene's been doing this like apology tour thing for a while, not just Friday, but for quite a while. And she's taking the lane of like, release the Epstein files. This is unacceptable. How dare you remove people's health care? Like, if she wasn't the Jewish space laser lady, I'd think, oh wow, maybe she had to come to Jesus moment. But for whatever reason, she's saying this. And then at the same time on Friday, Trump was on, I think he was on Air Force One or something, but he was asked by a reporter about the Epstein files, and I don't know, he gave like a little bullshit answer. But then on Sunday night, he put out a Truth Social post where it was like, oh, yeah, no, release the file, like totally release the files. Complete 180 on what he's been saying for the last, 4 or 5 months. And I want to know what you guys think of that. So this is really like a two-parter, right? This is a two-parter. This is, why is Marjorie Taylor Greene all of a sudden like agreeing with us on shit? And then number two, what is Donald Trump's play with saying release the files? Like, we all know, everybody fucking knows that he's in these files, right? Why is he now coming out and saying, yeah, okay, fine, go ahead and release them? So I'll throw it to you guys. What are your theories on these things?
Right. Well, I have a couple of theories. First, with Marjorie Taylor Greene, from what I understand, she put in a bid to run for Senate, and Trump said no. And the White House also was like, no, we don't want you to do that. We don't approve of you doing that. Stay where you're at. And she is now on her revenge tour. So she is trying to subvert or whatever she can do the Trump message. So, and I think that's kind of a political assassination on her part, because I really don't think it's going to go very far. And I am waffling over the idea of whether or not we should accept her over that. Like, do we accept that she has changed her ways and changed her mind? Because in this day and age, I think that's an idealistic standpoint to take, like that she has actually changed her mind, instead of just going with the political waves and trying to surf those as she has the past number of years.
Well, just to be clear, Gary, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, even in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think she's ever wavered on the Epstein files. Like, other stuff, yes, right? Like healthcare and SNAP and all that. But I believe the Epstein files, she's been steadfast on since the beginning.
I believe you're correct on that, yes. At least in that one instance on that topic, she has been consistent.
Yeah. But I mean, otherwise I agree with you, right? Like, I don't think accepting her is the right thing for really anybody to do. Not with her track record. But I think like accepting and kind of silently cheering on are two separate things, and I think we can not accept her as our side, right? Because she's in it for herself. I think we know that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, go Marjorie, like, hell yeah, like, take them down, start the Republican Civil War, right? Get MAGA out of here, do what you need to do. You know, and I mean, at the very least, right, what's left? The ashes of MAGA. We can deal with the ashes of MAGA better than we can deal with MAGA at its peak, right?
Right.
So that's kind of my thought process on it. But what do you think about Trump? I think that one's more interesting, right? That he's done this complete 180 in the matter of, like, overnight, basically, right? Just the weekend. From Friday, he was kind of wishy-washy on the files, and then Sunday night, oh yeah, go ahead, release him. I got nothing to hide. Why do you think that is? I've got a couple theories, but I'm curious what you all think.
Okay, so for me, I am trying to wonder where his angle is at because it's all about angles. Like what political gain can he get from this? What gain can he get from this being an opinion of his now? And what has happened to the actual Epstein files in the past, like who knows how long, that he's okay with this? And like that bothers me a lot. Like I don't know exactly what the angle is or what got redacted under his hand, but something has happened majorly over the past week or so that has allowed himself to say that this is something I am trumpeting now. Mm-hmm. And I worry about that.
Yeah, no, I for sure. I mean, it's definitely a worry. I've got two working theories. I should say, I got to stop doing that. I got to stop using theory improperly. Now, I have two hypotheses. Okay, this is what I've come up with. I think it's one of two things, and they're actually quite obvious if you've seen the little nuggets of details that we've gotten. So I think, and I hesitate to say which is more likely and which is less likely. I don't know if I can put some statistics on that, but I'll just in no particular order. This is what I think. So I think number one, we have a scenario where like the FBI, the DOJ, they've gotten to a point where they've redacted the files to a level in which Trump feels comfortable, right? And I think the Epstein estate emails releasing kind of lifted the pressure on that pressure cooker a little bit because, if he was concerned about the one night with big, beautiful Bill Clinton, if he was concerned about the MacGyver comments or people just calling him a psychopath or absolutely disgusting, or I think there was one email where it was like, oh, Trump's the stupidest person I've ever met. Like if he was partially concerned about that, the estate emails come out, he's like, oh, okay, well, I'm still here. It's not that bad. And the rest is redacted. I think that's one option. That's option one. Option two, and I really hesitate to say that this is the one, but I'm going to say it. I think this is the one. So I got to preface this a little bit. So during Biden's 4 years, right, the main MAGA talking point, at least now, is, well, why didn't Biden release the files? Biden could have released the files. Why didn't Democrats release the files? There's Democrats in there, and they didn't want to catch them. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's part of it. But the other part, was actually legitimate, right? So the other part was because Ghislaine Maxwell was under investigation under the Biden administration, releasing those files prior to the conclusion of her court case and the appeal afterwards, they could have put both of those things in jeopardy, right? So there was a legal precedent not to do it. Whether it was the right move or wrong move, I don't know. I mean, if you were asking me, like, hey, would you want Ghislaine to go to jail or like 1,000 pedophiles? I'd take the 1,000 pedophiles, honestly. Give her a little bit of a deal, right? I mean, it's not like, she's in Club Fed right now, so fundamentally there really wouldn't have been a big difference. But I think that's what it is. I think because on Friday, Trump announced that he was going to open the investigation back up into Democrats in the files. Now he's got not just the legal cover, but also Biden did it too, right? And even though Biden did it legitimately, arguably legitimately, I guess, right? I mean, legally speaking, yeah, he did the technically correct thing.
Well, it's a smoke screen, though, isn't it? Like, when he decides to have his DOJ reopen the investigation, then they're no longer allowed to release the files because it's part of a current investigation.
Well, they're allowed
Everything
to.
is smoke screen.
It just jeopardizes the investigation,
Yeah,
right?
but that's what they're going to say.
Yes,
And
no, of course. Yeah, so those
bullshit.
are my two theories. Either one, they've redacted it enough that Trump is comfortable with it releasing. Number two, they're just not going to fucking release it because we've got investigations. Try again next time. So with both of those in mind, what do you guys think? I want to hear everybody's opinion. Which of the two do you think is at play here?
For me personally, I think it's been redacted enough that he feels comfortable. Like they've had their hands on it long enough that they can do this without jeopardizing the victims, without hopefully without jeopardizing the victims, and that this is the time where he thinks he can curry favor by doing this. After all the other things he's said about this, though, after having the files and knowing what they entail, and saying it was a hoax, and saying that it was a Democrat hoax, and that it was this or that and everything else, beyond the theory of why he's doing this is just the despondency of how he's able to get away with doing this, to me. But yeah, I think you're right in the fact that it's been redacted enough to make him comfortable to a level that he can present them now in a somewhat favorable light and reduce some of the criticism that he's gotten over the past week over those Epstein emails.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. But I still think that everything that's going on here is all play. They don't have a plan per se. They're just playing for, oh, I'm doing something. Oh, look at this. Look at that. And it's just smoke and mirrors, man. Just smoke and freaking mirrors. Just like everything this guy does. He's never once in his life actually done something. It's always a freaking shell game. Even when he's promising and building and making his face on the TV, every goddamn thing he does is a smokescreen to distract from the last failed bullshit that he had so that he can do some other underhanded bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little jaded.
A little. I mean, shit, after, gosh, oh my god, it's been 10 years, man. It's been 10 years since the golden escalator. I mean, can you guys believe it? A whole fucking decade of this bullshit?
Chat asks, what's the point if it's freaking redacted? Yeah, that's
What's
absolutely
the point
right.
It's just so the MAGA base, right? And when I say MAGA base, I'm being very specific, right? The MAGA base is the 27 to 33% of the Republican Party of people who vote and voted for Trump, right? So it sounds like a big number. You know, I'm not saying 33% of what are we up to now, like 350 million people. It's much less than that, okay? You're looking at like 27 to 30% of, 74 million or something like that. Those are the people that I'm talking about when I say that all they need is the teeniest, tiniest, ittiest, bittiest crumb. And they will take that and say, look at this mountain. Look at this mountain of logic and evidence that I have built here for you. And it's really just like, Trump released redacted files. And you're like, yeah, well, we can't read half of it. And they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. He released it, so we win. Fuck you. And that's how they think, right? They all they need is a nugget. Just a little tiny nugget of truth, and they'll just roll with it like everything else they say after that is also true. That make sense?
I think so. I think I buy that.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, that's completely the mindset that they have just fashioned out for themselves. You know, they're going to take that little nugget of truth or whatever they can, and they're going to move on to the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and they can completely discount or forget the thing that came before it. There's no progression with that. There's no progression with them whatsoever. It's just regression every time.
Yeah, and that's why my number two hypothesis was, let me turn the volume down here. Hold on. All right, that's why the number two hypothesis, is basically just like. These people are just, they want to believe so bad that Trump was literally sent by Jesus Christ. Like they want to believe so badly that like God is working through this pedophile. And so like the cognitive dissonance gets to them. they've been indoctrinated to believe the most ridiculous shit. Okay, what that people come from mud, right? And ribs, mud and ribs, talking snakes, right? And like, look, I'm not dogging on people who have spirituality, right? It's when the obvious parables are taken so literally, and it really shows that the complete lack of critical thinking,
Hey,
that is
I'm there
involved
with
with MAGA.
I'm the liberal Christian in the room, right? So
Yeah.
like, I, I there's a really good guy online that does a lot of biblical breakdown of how basically conservative Christian politics are bullshit and very Christian, but like putting all that aside, putting all of the hocus pocus that people get into, like genuinely, none of that excuses you for being a horrible fucking person. Like you can't equate the two. Whether you believe in some hocus pocus things or you have a little bit more nuanced view of parable, you know, anybody who wants to call themselves religious in any view, I can't name a goddamn religious on this planet that believes in absolute disgusting, vile behavior that we see perpetrated day in and day out in the name of red hat wearing MAGA wearers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess kind of circling back, it's all they really need is, oh well, Biden did it, so therefore Trump can do it. And I know that all of you, everybody who's watching, I know all of you have run into that, where it's like, hey, Trump did this thing and it was really shitty, and you've heard, yeah, but what about Obama? But what about Obama? Obama did it. Obama. What about Biden? What about Obama? Biden. What about Biden? Obama. They did it. Hillary Clinton, buttery emails. Buttery mails, buttery mails. Like, you've heard it. You've heard it all, right? Yeah, so that's why I think that one's really plausible. That's why I really, really think that, like, going the DOJ route, telling the DOJ... Now, look, he's not supposed to tell the DOJ to do shit. He does, and he has. And he's probably the one president who's taken it that far to where legal scholars go, oh, I mean, technically legal, but really against the norms. And yeah, so he feels really comfortable going, oh, well, shit, if fucking Biden did it, I'll do it and hold it off for another 4 years. Listen, the guy's on his deathbed, okay? Like, he's got a diet of double quarter pounders and Diet Cokes, okay? This is well known. He goes through like a case of Diet Cokes a fucking day, all right? This guy, he wants to say what? He's like 6'13", 180 pounds, all muscle, 0% body fat, or whatever bullshit he says. He's what? Like, he's got to be 6 foot, 300 pounds? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Something
He's
close to that,
definitely
yeah.
not what he said. And he's what, like 80, something like that. It's
pushing it.
I don't know. I saw a picture where his face was half droopy. That's a stroke. Okay, he's not long for this world. Okay, I think he's just waiting it out until the point where he does not have to answer to any consequences, like even the tiniest of consequences. I think that's the main goal. Is just don't have your legacy be tarnished by something official. Anyway, that's my opinion on it.
That's a good opinion on it. I mean, that's the whole run of his presidency for the second term, was to get out of jail, in my opinion. And just for a little bit of background to people in the chat or people watching, like, I am a sort of superficial level person as far as politics goes. I try to keep up to date. But like a lot of people in my age demographic, I'm a little... I get depressed by looking at what's going on today. So I'm not as engaged in it as like a lot of other people are. I try to keep myself a little bit educated about it, but like when he ran for the second term, it was pretty obvious to me the only reason why he was doing it was to stay out of jail. And it was a Hail Mary. And it worked. And it's sad that it worked. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. He is trying to avoid any sort of consequences that he could ever amass ever, and just ride out the rest of his life, and then go peacefully into that sunset, and then have, at least for himself, that he won't realize, he won't, in a cognitive sense, know that he went out, as a vile person, seen through the eyes of a lot of people, but he already is, and he's just, it's his selective reasoning with thinking that he's not. So I am totally right there with you.
Yeah. I would guess though that I don't actually think the guy cares about a legacy. I think he doesn't believe in anything after this.
No, he doesn't believe in a legacy. He doesn't care what happens when he dies. He just doesn't want to feel that before he dies.
That's exactly
right.
Yeah. All that matters is the optics to him, while he can physically,
while he can bask in the praise.
Yep.
Right, like that's really what it comes down to. I think is I think Gary has a point. Like, he's not thinking 100 years down the road, right? Actually, a lot of these pieces of shit don't think that far ahead, right? Because usually the people of the future figure that shit out. Usually, right? Even if the people of the time never did. So yeah, I think it is like, okay, if I can still go out being loved, yeah, whatever happens after that, he won't be around for anyway, won't experience it, so who cares? Like, he really only cares if people like him, if he's there to hear that people like him. And if he knows someone doesn't like him, but they treat him nice in person, like, he still keeps them around, as evident by Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so yeah, I really don't know how so many people in this country got duped by this twice, almost 3 times, but here we are.
There's a word that I've started using a lot lately, and I hate the fact that I'm using it, but it's just the word bleak. And like, that just seems like what things are. Bleak.
Yeah.
And so I'm constantly trying to wrap my head around that and trying to figure out, like, what can I do personally to fix that? And it just, in relation to what's going on with him, like, it's just, again, I got to use it again, bleak.
Yeah.
But then you've got to turn yourself to looking at what you can impact. And I don't want us to lose the sight of the fight, right? Like, the fight is the national level, but we have a lot of impact that we can have on the local level.
I'm taking off.
Oh yeah.
And
Local politics arguably, okay, more important than national politics. I mean, national politics, there are certain issues, right? There are certain real big issues that do affect nearly everybody. But, I mean, even those issues, right? Healthcare, abortion rights. States have been protecting people against the federal government on that. And that really goes to show, like, oh, yeah, the more local you get, the more of a hand that you have in government, the more protection you can have locally. I mean, look, this country's huge, okay? This is giant. It would be nearly impossible to occupy every single city simultaneously, fully coordinated, and enforce whatever brand of Christo-fascism is in style. I don't think it's realistic. So if you can get involved in local government, if you can advocate for people who are interested in protecting human rights, like, that is more important than just showing up every 4 years and voting for president and going home.
When you have a tangible change too that you can make in your community just by where you go, the businesses you frequent, the things that you do with your own freaking yard, if you're blessed enough to actually have a home in this world, but the way that you interact with your local government, your local businesses, the neighbors that you have, those relationships, those connections, they pay dividends down the line. I mean, you can literally, you're sitting in this room with 2 local business owners that have had impact, right? Like, we've seen in our lifetime that the little bit that we've put in our neighborhood has generated a world that is better for at least our view in the local And then if we can get more people doing that, and that can duplicate over and over, screw the Walmart, screw the Targets that want to pretend like they believe in politics. Screw every major corporation. Let's build the hometowns. Let's get those small businesses going. Let's buy local. Let's eat local. Let's farm in that little piece of yard that nobody touches in the neighborhood. Let's just go do it. You want to be an anarchist? You want to really put your finger in someone's eye? Go take some goddamn seeds and plant them in the ground on a curb. You know what? You're going to piss off a lot of people, but I guarantee you a whole lot of other people are going to love what you do. And if you can just get that little number to the people that you love you, a little bit bigger than the people that hate you, they're not going to win. And then you're going to change the world in a real way.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Chad is saying, join your local DSA chapter. I fully endorse that. Not that I agree with every single thing the DSA stands for. I think if you agree with any organization 100%, you're probably in a cult. So, but when Jovan and I went to the Socialist Convention in Chicago, I have to say the DSA people were very welcoming. They were very nice. They were also very organized. They had a lot of members, as opposed to some of the other. That's not to say don't join other socialist groups either. There are plenty of great ones out there. Tempest Collective is another really good one. You can look into that. I don't know if we have a local chapter here for Tempest, but I do know that they have an online presence, and you can communicate with other Tempest Collective folks online. Something you brought up, Chris, kind of sparked another discussion I wanted to have about the holidays this year. So I've been kind of going back and forth just with myself. Do I spend money this Christmas? Should I? Does it make sense? Because I think for the longest time, this roller coaster of consumerism that we call capitalism, at least here in the United States, it's just what is it like? Okay, so Christmas used to be a pagan holiday, right? But then it was turn of the 20th century where it was, Coca-Cola's going to invent, this white beard, red furry suit Santa Claus with Rudolph and all this shit. And then it was just buy everything, And I think with the way that a lot of these corporations behave and have behaved, especially supporting a fascist regime, I don't think that they deserve my money. Now, that's not to say I'm not going to get my family gifts, but I think that's to say that, I don't think I'm going to shop on Amazon. I don't think I'm going to shop at, Walmart, Best Buy, Target. I think I'm really going to make it a point. And, just personally for me, obviously me not spending anything is not going to change anything in the grand scheme, at least not by myself. But personally, I want to see, I know it's possible, and I just kind of want to do it. What are your thoughts on that?
I've got some mixed opinions. You're a local business owner, so you might have a opinion too.
So the first thing I would say is go spend some money at Krampus Night in downtown Sanford, because that's a great event, and it's Krampus Night, and it's amazing. But other than that, I do agree that if you're going to spend money this Christmas season, this holiday season, please spend it locally at a bona fide local business run by people that are in that community and care about that community and want that community to grow. There are so many bogus small businesses that I see out there now that are, run by, corporate chains or, investment banks. And they saw that things are moving towards people wanting to spend local. They want to spend money locally. They want it to generate income within that local community, and they want that community to be reinvested in. But they saw that as an opportunity, and they've done that with the brewing industry for the past 10 years. So I think it's consumer education. You do have to look at who you are actually giving your money to, but I think that if you do go to like a general store that's in a small downtown, that we have plenty of those here in Florida, that you could go and you could spend your money at, and you could buy some curios, some good gifts, some unique things for your family. I think that makes more sense than like buying the same thing or something close to it that's a cheap knockoff on Amazon. So I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, as a parent, right? Like I've got 2 kids that are like prime Christmas age. My wife and I looked around our house the other day. We got so much goddamn shit. And it's like, our kids don't want for anything, right? We get them things when we can, like we go out. I try not to make every trip about buying something, but like, you know, I get things that I feel have value. Like my kids play with Legos. I think that's a great toy, right? You know, and so you can't not. Ooh, that was
Wow.
That
Faux
was
pas.
not okay. Speaking of the wife that's calling right now,
Okay.
you can't not like get your kiddos something. But what my wife and I've tried to do this year, and last year we did this even more effectively. We focused on really buying moments, experiences for the kids, right? Like, so it wasn't so much about the toys or these things that honestly the kids are going to leave on the ground and the dogs are going to chew up, you know. It was about going somewhere, finding something often local that was like, you know, tangible, that they could pick up and they have this memory tied to it. It was about getting a really good meal, right? Like my kids are so, I don't know if they understand how lucky they are, but mom and dad try to take them places where we're walking around a city and we're going in to eat food at local restaurants that are different cuisines than they're used to on the daily, and we do this all the time with the point of building these touchstones for them that they can relate it later in life. And
Sure.
every penny I've spent doing something like that is so much more valuable than the thing that ends up, like I said, getting chewed up by the dog, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Yeah, I'm gonna get them some toys. They're gonna get some things, you know, but it's gonna be like 1 or 2 things. Like I think a daughter wants a bicycle. That's a great thing, because that's
Sure.
and that's another thing. We're not doing Walmart for the bicycle. We've got a local bike shop, right?
Good.
And this guy is awesome. And he was
Good.
in my hometown, and he's like, dude, I will build you the perfect bike for your kid, and your kid can come in here and he can watch me work on it, and then they can buy parts for their bike and they can get all into it. That's not just getting them a thing. That's not
Right.
consumerism. That's building a love of something. That's building
And community,
value
too.
And community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
No,
I
no,
gotta go
I-
back a little bit. That's your wife's ringtone?
The default.
Right? The default?
Boo. Everyone in chat, boo Chris. Boo. Boo Chris. Boo. Default ringer for the wife. Boo.
But yeah, to your point, yeah, building that experience, that thing that they can go back and they can look at and they can say, this was a whole, you know, this was the thing from start to finish that they had an experience with, they built a bond with. Like, I totally believe in all of that. Just, you know, it's especially difficult this Christmas season because all of our incomes are a little bit lower. We have less disposable cash. Prices are higher, but you can get something at a local shop, like Chris said, that builds that experience. And you can also look around your house, like he said, and regift some of these things that you have that you don't want anymore, right? So that can go to somebody else. You can donate it to somebody, or you can gift it to somebody. You can repurpose these things that are just sitting around on the ground waiting for that dog to chew up. So I think that's another option that we have this Christmas season.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I really like that idea.
Yeah. And you know, kind of the way I got to this plate, and I don't want to give too many spoilers, but we're working on a video essay. I hope you guys like. If you listen, Chris, can you put up a poll? I mean, I know we don't have a fifth of our normal audience. But for our loyal viewers who are here on this fine Monday with a substitute host, I want to know, how interested are they in video essays? So just put up that poll if you can. But I was doing research for a video essay that we're in the initial drafts. There's no guarantee it'll be filmed, okay? But it's something that I'm actively researching. And after learning the history of, I guess, lack of a better term, private equity, right? Like the origins of private equity in 1907 with trusts, and then again in the 20s and early 30s with companies like consolidating around supply chains, and then again with conglomerates throughout the 70s where they would just like pick up random shit that they didn't know anything about. And it was something Gary just said, was like there are multinational corporations, like large private equity firms, that are posing as Main Street America.
This is in your ear only.
You know? And it's after learning the history, it's like, yeah, this is why I'm socialist. Like, and I know that a lot of you guys are too. Okay. And you will still be after that video, but I'm hoping that you can share that video to everybody else who's not, and convince them to. So keep your eyes out for that. I am being told by our sound booth that we did lose video, so
no,
we're gonna.
We had a technical thing, and we're getting close to where we need to. We might have some other issues.
That's okay. Look, we're gonna wrap up the stream today. Again, thank you all for joining us again. We really appreciate you guys watching, tuning in every week. It's a pleasure to do this show for you. You know, we learn a lot every week together. I mean, most of the stuff that I go over with you guys, it's not something that I already know, and I'm just giving it to you. I spend a lot of my evenings just reading and researching and watching videos and stuff, and I try my best to get Jovan a script every week that educates not only me, him, but you guys as well. So yeah, so I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Next week, no show. There is no show next week. We just don't have the studio next Monday. So instead, we have episode 4 of Critical Mass with Jovan Bradley coming out. We have the Signing D and Golden Sunflower Inside 2 online creators. They're a hearing deaf couple. They're amazing people. You really don't want to miss it. And if you want to catch the episode early, we're going to actually be rendering the final video right after this live stream, and it's going to go straight to the Patreon. Okay, so if you want to see this podcast early, go ahead and subscribe to the Patreon. Get into one of our channel tiers. You can either subscribe to Critical Mass by itself or subscribe to all shows. And then you get both Critical Mass and the Weekly Dump and future shows locked in at a pretty fair price. So thanks again, and have a wonderful day.